Painted Arrow podcast. We're in the studio today. I got Devin Cole and myself.
Heyo.
How you doing, Devin?
I'm great.
I'm really happy to have you here today.
Yeah, likewise.
So we have a buck story. I have like an epic bucktail. The last 3 episodes were updates for the Moment series, and this is like we killed. This is kind of after the fact.
Just recaps it a little.
Like we have a lot more stories to come after this one here that we're going to share.
Mm-hmm.
But this one here is a different type of story. I'm really excited to share it.
It's one I've never heard anything like.
Yeah. It's a Michigan whitetail bow hunting story that's unique.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, Black Friday.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Black Friday is coming up fast, and I just want to update the folks listening on how we're going to kind of schedule that.
Yeah, what we're going to offer.
A little tease. So this podcast here is going to go live somewhere's the beginning of the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So the 28th is Thanksgiving. The day before that's the 27th.
Yeah, Wednesday the 27th.
Painted Arrow. This is the only and best sale that we run.
It's the only
and best sale that we run.
Correct.
Why is that important?
Well, it's the best because it's the only.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't run a lot of sales.
No. We don't.
We've got a lot of really awesome retail partners, and we don't like to undercut those guys, but we made it clear that we're going to run one big sale a year, and this is when it is. So,
and it's big.
This is when it is.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
So the 27th, the day before Thanksgiving, through Cyber Monday, which is, I believe,
it's a 5-day sale, right?
It's a banger. So that's the second.
That's a 5-day sale where you're going to get the best prices possible for a lot of the things that are on our website.
Some things are going to be like we're going to call it like up to 40%.
Yeah.
Like some things some things are going to be like discounted. Some things maybe not so much.
All that to say, like the timing is unique because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, damn, I just bought this, or damn, I want this, but hunting season's over. Well, if you want it for next hunting season, maybe pick it up now because you're going to get it at a better price. Then you're going to be able to buy it next year.
And this is like gift giving season too. I mean,
for sure,
this is perfect for that. If you got a hunter or fisherman or anybody that you're listening to and you're thinking about, oh, that one person that in my family that I know that hunts, this is a perfect. I mean, the price point is there.
It's giftable.
It's there.
Mm-hmm.
It is there. But yeah, like just to give a little transparency too, because we can. That's what the podcast is for.
Because we can.
Like we're going into a new type of a season where, like Devin was kind of mentioning, like retail partners. We're as a smaller company that's growing, we're doing new things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So as we go into new stores, as we just expand, right? As we expand and do new things internally, there's things like inventory. We need to make sure that we're, you know what I mean? Like we have enough to go to our retailers.
Yeah, we
just need to make sure that we
cycle count everything, make sure we.
It's a big time for us.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. So some of the things that are real rich are probably going to be limited to a certain quantity that are available for the sale.
Yeah.
For the exact reason you're talking about, we have retailers and other people that we need to make sure we have product for. So there will be a specific amount of certain SKUs available at that price point, and if you miss it, that's tough.
Yeah. I would love, like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to be in a position where we're struggling to find more inventory, but like just want to be completely transparent. This sale is a big thing for us internally. Like we love doing it. It's fun. It's like the one and only. Get it while it's hot. The pancakes are fresh. There's a little char on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it seems to be that the syrup kind of like soaks in a little bit better when there's a little char.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
warm. It's warm and fluffy, and it's time to go. So, yeah, Black Friday sale, 27th through the 2nd. That's coming.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss that one. Okay, I think we just jump right into this big buck story.
Let's do it.
So, the last time we were on here on the horn,
Mhm.
we were kind of giving the updates. We hadn't killed yet. The Moment series, quickly recapping, it's a week that we dedicate every year where we're filming in the woods with our products, bringing to you guys on social media, podcast. We have some really cool videos that we're working on
Accumulated,
currently
yeah.
to put out onto our YouTube channel. Anyway, this is the first kill within that week, and that week was November. Let's see, we took off like the 4 through 8,
Yeah.
and then a couple days on the end, a couple days in the front, and whenever we can get out. But basically, the 4 through 8, we're putting ourselves in the situation, back against the wall, get it done in a week. Here we go.
Mhm.
In Michigan, you get 2 buck tags.
Yep.
Which, depending on who you ask, it's a great thing.
Yep.
Yeah, depending on who you ask, it's either a really good thing or not.
Yeah.
Such a great thing, but I think it's a good thing if you do it right. And I think the stats are something like the people that shoot 2 deer is like not.
I don't have an issue with the 2 buck tags, and I don't want to get on a big tangent. But I've been feeling lately like I wish it was one is reserved for archery and one is a gun buck tag.
I like that. But I really like it just depends on who you are, and every year I feel like I'm like, man, that sucks that we can shoot 2 because then there's not as many deer getting to age, but then I shoot 1 and I'm like, man, I want to keep hunting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it puts that into perspective for sure because the way that you hunt when you know you have 2 tags is different.
Oh yeah.
And then you kill the first one and you're like, imagine that like everybody else in all the other states are like, I got my buck this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's it.
100%.
It makes you a lot more it makes you very critical of when you release that arrow because that potentially ends your season.
Oh yeah. It really does.
So, I don't know. Kind of interesting though because states like Indiana have gone to a 1 buck state, previously 2 buck states, but then you have Iowa, like I think you shoot 2 or 3 bucks there. I think you
I don't know. I'm not this is a tangent,
yeah.
and I love talking about this tangent because it's like it's always like, well, what if we I think it's just less hunters really.
It is. It's not even less hunters in terms of total hunters, it's hunter density.
That's correct. Yeah, I
Right.
mean like we got
Like there's
10 guys per square mile.
Exactly.
Or
When-
more.
When there's huge parcels and there's only a couple guys on each of those huge parcels, that's just different than here when you have little 10-acre parcels all,
Stacked.
jammed into each other and everybody's hunting their 10 acres. Like it's just different.
Yeah, a lot of deer die.
Yeah.
That's a simple way to look at it. So I'm gonna play you guys a clip, audio clip.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What's that one?
All right, y'all. It's November 4th. I'm in my little gear area in my basement here, and I'm going hunting. AM set. There's a spot. It's like an intersection, and I have a camera over it. It's a cellular camera, and it's usually kind of dead. But I just got 42 photos last night of a bunch of does and immature bucks running around. I'm thinking there's probably a doe that came into estrus. So I'm gonna go sit that stand. It's just a normal ladder stand. It's not a saddle set, so I can just creep in there. But it's gonna rain today, so I'm taking like a bag and some food and some like, rain clothes in case it gets gnarly. But 15 to 17 mile an hour winds with pretty big gusts. Yeah, I'm just gonna go in there and hunt them. That's what I'm gonna do. So
Just gonna go in there and hunt them.
that was how
The day started.
the day started, and
Was that the day that it poured rain
Yeah.
for a while?
oh yeah, it was a weekday. I'm pretty sure it was a Monday. Wasn't it a Monday?
What was it? November 7th?
November 4th.
Day 1 of the thing?
I'm pretty sure that was the Monday that started it all off. Yeah, that was the Monday,
Interesting.
the 4th. So it was raining that day,
Yeah.
and it was like scheduled to rain 7, 8, and then 9:30. It was supposed to like kind of fizzle out. For some reason, the weather report's never right in my area. like almost never with it raining. I mean, this summer it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking I'm taking all my gear, right? Just like you heard me say. And I took it all. I took a gunny sack of like trail mix, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're planning to all day it if you can. If
Yeah.
you're not too wet.
Yeah. And it was kind of cool. Like, Trav helped me hang this set because when we were in there filming the logging video series,
Yeah.
they literally cut that white oak right out of there.
Mhm.
And they're like, hey, we got to, you guys got to move this. So Trav helped me put it in there. And it was like a quick, like, let's put it there.
Oh, so it was on a different tree and you moved it to the location that it is now.
Yeah.
Got it.
We were specifically filming, like, we met one of the logging, I can't remember his name now. I feel really bad. But we were talking with these guys. I'm like, hey, can we get like a close up video of you cutting down one of these big trees? Because I knew there was more to than, like, there's a technique and I wanted to like film that. So this tree, they're like, why don't we do this one? I'm like, okay, well, we got to move this set. Trav and I like quickly put it down in this area. And that's the set that I hunted on the 4th. But we have a thing on the 4th.
We do.
We kill on the 4th. I don't know why.
Why did I not realize that was the 4th?
It's the 4th.
Yeah, we kill on the 4th.
Yeah.
I killed a buck with you on the 4th. We doubled on the 4th together.
Uh-huh.
And then you just killed again on the 4th.
Yep.
I like the 4th.
The 4th is it's a poppin' time.
It's a fire day, yeah.
So anyway, guys, this story right here is is the wildest thing. It is the wildest thing. So I get in there, it's raining. I'm wearing a jet black Under Armour raincoat.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see any problems with that?
Did you have a tree skirt?
I did.
So that's helpful.
But I was out in my mind, I'm like, I look like
Sticking out like a sore thumb.
I'm sticking out.
Fred Bear said the best camouflage is to sit still and be quiet.
Interesting.
Like all the old guys used to hunt in flannels and blue jeans. So
Yeah.
I don't see an issue with that.
Well, I was kind of in my mind that I was sticking out and shiny because it's all wet.
Yeah.
Anyway, right off the cuff, I got in the stand. It was raining from the time that I got in to about 9:00.
Yeah.
So 2 hours I was just sitting in the rain. And this has paid off for me in the past where like late morning, not even mid, it's like pretty early. 9 a.m. is pretty early. Like,
yeah.
It stops raining.
That was actually before the time change or after?
I think that was before.
I think that's before because the time change was like the 6th or something, right?
7th or 8th.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, but it was before that. So I'm sitting in there for 2 hours in the rain, and all of a sudden, I'm in the stand for that post stopping the rain there. Like that's what I'm hunting. I had a 4-point come in, and I'd never hunted this set. I'd never hunted this area.
Right after the rain stopped, he just comes walking through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of in the rain.
Okay.
4-point comes right in under the tree. He circles around. He was like magnetic to my stand. He kept coming by, and there's really nothing else that happened other than that 4-point. I'm trying to just think right now. I'm sitting in the middle of the rain.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably pretty dead.
It was pretty
probably
dead.
Super quiet, so you didn't hear them until they were like right on top of you.
Yeah, that 4-point came in and he was 25 yards.
Like about to climb your
Didn't
ladder
even
before
see
you
him.
realized he was there, yeah.
So that happened. And then I remember glassing. So like, just to explain it to you.
You're kind of down in a bowl.
I'm down in the bottom, like in the past we've done like the V thing.
Yeah.
You take the peace sign with your fingers. Like I'm sitting in the crotch down in the bottom.
Yeah.
Basically. But it's like a big wetland that's elongated throughout the property. So it kind of turns and weaves and it goes, but it's a low area.
Kind of almost feels like a river bottom.
Yeah, I would say. So I'm sitting down there, and I remember early in the morning I glassed. Like, because I'd never hunted this.
Mm-hmm.
And normally it's like wet, and it's been really dry. So like deer, I don't know if they're using this cut. I call it the cut. This river bottom, low area. And I remember glassing, and there was like bright white rubs. Looked like pretty fresh rubs in the middle of the cut, just 90 yards down from me.
Yep.
And I glass them. I'm like, oh, that's a key point to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fiddling on my phone. The rain stops about 9:45. All of a sudden, I just see white tines raking on that tree. Just raking the tree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is good. So I put my phone
This here's good.
in my pocket, not on the mag pro. I put my phone in my pocket. I pull up my binoculars and I'm like, shooter buck. Like you know how people say like if it gets me excited in the moment, I'm gonna
Yeah,
like
it was just like it was a no doubter. You
I
looked,
pulled it
you're like,
up,
I'm gonna shoot him.
100%, put him down. I got my bow, and I got the mag pro, got my phone put on there, and I got the camera pulled up, and I hit record just like that.
Yep.
That's key. Don't even think about it after that. Just turn it on.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's running. This deer, the way that it comes in, it feels to me, it's a southwest wind. It feels like he was directly downwind for me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like waiting
For him to catch your wind.
waiting for the wind to kind of like do its thing and get to him. And so I didn't call to him right away. I was very key on like I don't want to like just call to him because he's like all he's got to do is step a couple steps and then I'm done.
Yeah.
So he ends up basically coming down from the ridge top down to this bottom
where he's doing the rub,
where he's making this rub, absolutely thrashing it. It's pretty cool. You don't get to see bucks do that all the time.
Yeah.
Thrashing this tree. And I'm waiting, but he's like not close. He's 90 yards. All of a sudden he starts walking back exactly the way he came, or from what I thought. It felt like he kind of came down and was going out.
Yeah.
And as he's going back up, I hit him with a brat. He didn't hear it at all. Didn't act like he heard it. Brat. Second time. Still was continuing to walk away. Didn't hear it. Third time. Brat. Real loud.
Yeah.
Didn't hear it. And then finally, I just let the snort wheeze out for like a Hail Mary because he's probably 100 and
yeah.
And and he whips his head, dude. Just like, you know what I mean?
Like, oh hell no.
He keyed in. I'm not sure. I still don't know if like he heard me and decided not to like come to the grunts or if like he just didn't hear him.
Yeah.
But I like to think that he heard him but was like, I ain't interested in that. And then he heard the let's fight.
Yeah.
And then he whipped his head. And then once I had his attention, I hit the brrr. And he like count to 5. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I'm coming.
4, 5. He starts moving, and I'm like, oh
It's
yeah,
on.
like it's happening. Like it goes from like nothing.
Yeah.
To I got a buck coming in within less than 70 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was great. So I'm like, I'm in it right then. Like everything in the world disappeared. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like me and this buck. He's coming in, and I'm just thinking about how is this going to happen because I've never hunted this stand. He's coming from a direction I'm not planning. Like he's coming from the least like opportune angle.
Yeah.
He's coming basically just skirting the wind. You know what I mean?
Just off.
And that's when I look at that. I've had deer like the biggest buck I've ever killed. This guy right here. They like when the wind is like
just off.
It seems to be like that's when they come in right where you want them.
Well, it's because like you're safe and you're giving, I mean, you're sort of safe, but you're giving them most of the wind.
Yeah.
Right. So like they like to generally walk into the wind. So if they're walking into a slightly off wind and it means you're safe, like you're kind of on a knife edge, hoping the wind doesn't swirl at all. But they're comfortable because in their mind, like the wind's in my face. Any danger down there, I'm going to smell it first.
And I think a detail too, like 2 details. We always talk about like kind of throwing the call.
Try to whip it behind the tree or something.
Just, at least just point it in the direction where you want them to go or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that works. I think that was part of it because I did kind of throw it a little.
Yeah.
The first 3 times I was pointing at him because I wanted him to hear it. But that last one, I knew he was locked in. He had his ears keyed in on my area, and I knew he was going to hear anything. So I kind of threw it to the direction I want him to go. That's one thing. And then the second thing, specifically calling to deer, I'm not a professional at calling, but it seems to be the times that it's worked for me when you're trying to call it, to a quote unquote a mature buck. Like the thickness of the area really matters.
Oh yeah.
Like if it's an open timber, it's hard to get them to commit. But if it's like this like grassy,
for sure,
thicket area,
because if they look down there and they're like, okay, that's close enough sounding that if there's something down there, I'm going to see it from here.
Yeah.
But if they got to go investigate, that just works in your favor.
That is the reason that I had this work out for me.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have happened in an open, mature timber stand.
Yeah.
I don't, because they can see they can hear the leaves
Yeah.
when a deer's walking, and they can easily pick it out.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, this low, it just rain, like when it's really quiet, it seems like calling doesn't work for me. But this was perfect.
Yep.
I think that this all lined up. So I just want to mention those two things. But so this deer's coming in, and the trunk that I'm in. So if you imagine I'm in a ladder stand, I'm facing, let's just call it north.
Yep.
I'm facing north in the ladder stand. This deer comes at my, like, what is that? It's like a 5 o'clock. So like the least opportune spot for a right-handed bow hunter.
Yeah.
Right. He comes. So I have to like turn around. I'm looking at basically the trunk of the tree, but this tree is split, has 3 trunks, but from what I'm looking at, it's basically like a double split. There's two trunks, and I'm either shooting on the left side of the left trunk or in between the two.
Yep.
So this deer comes in, and I'm just like, he's coming in, 75 quickly. He's at 70 yards because like he committed from 100. He's
marching in
30 yards. He's closing that distance. And
is he kind of looking around while he's coming in, trying to figure out where that came from?
Oh yeah, you know how they like.
Yeah.
Takes a couple steps and then pops his ear, head and ears up and looks around.
Yeah.
100% doing that. And so I'm like hiding behind the one left trunk, and I don't see him, and I'm not like poking around because you know how it is. It's dead silent.
Yeah.
So he's coming in, I'm locked on, and I'm just waiting, and I can't really hear him, but I know he's like right behind this tree, and I'm waiting for him to like show himself left or right.
Yeah.
So a good amount of time goes by. I'm not drawn yet. A good amount of time goes by. I'm standing up in this ladder stand, and all of a sudden, like I get a little impatient. I'm like, where is this deer? Like I hadn't seen him, and it seemed like the last time I saw him, he was walking.
So you leaned around the tree.
I leaned ever so slightly to my left, so around the left side of the tree, and he's like right there.
Yeah.
And I paused as I could like just get him off my left eye.
Yeah.
He started taking a couple steps. I draw. Okay. So I'm like kind of like leaning and drawing. And it's kind of cool because on the Mag Pro, the camera, depending on which side you put the camera on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like which way you flip your phone.
So if you put your camera's on the right side, it'll see more to the right. If you put your camera on the left. So in the video, like you can see the buck. I couldn't.
You couldn't because you were mostly behind the tree, but the
Exactly.
camera was just, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not watching the camera in the moment, but like after the fact, I could tell that. But so he's right there, 35 yards, making a couple steps. So I took that opportunity to draw, and I went back and watched the video. I was at full draw for 1 minute and 37 seconds.
Nice.
I've never been at full draw that long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's long. I don't know if people do it longer, but like that's what happened on that day. I was at full draw for 1 minute and 37 seconds, and I'm at full draw. Still can't see the deer. I kind of leaned, like I told you.
Were you contemplating letting down at this point?
No, I was good.
You were committed to it.
I was pretty good. I wasn't tired in the moment. Like I was like, this is it. And I'm thinking he's coming to the left because that's kind of what I last saw him do. And if he comes to the left, I mean, it's wide open.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I can see him on the other side of the trunk. So he's between the trunks.
Yeah.
So to my right side now. So I'm going from the left side of the trunk. I'm like, oh, shoot. And I'm pulling back a little.
And lifting your bow.
Lifting my bow back. And then
while you're drawing.
Kind of push. Oh, yeah. Full draw. Kind of pushed in between the V now. And this deer is broadside at 25 yards. But there's like so much like obstructing my specific shot path. And there was like a tree. Like I'm at full draw. He just full broadside. And I couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to my right. I'm like, it doesn't get a whole lot better. Like there was a giant log in front of his vitals on the first, pause he made. But as he kind of like goes a little bit further right, I'm looking and he's kind of like quartering away. And I'm like, this is
your
it.
Opportunity.
So like I'm shooting a rec mechanical, the HXP.
Yeah.
And I'm like doing the math quickly, and he's looking off. Everything was perfect with him, but I'm doing the math. I'm like, this isn't ideal.
Yeah.
It's really not. And I've had it work for me in the past, and I've had it not work for me in the past. But I decided, like in that split second, like
Shooting through a little brush.
I'm shooting this thing right now.
Yeah.
So he comes over a couple more steps, and you can see my hesitation in the video, in the
Mhm.
MagPro footage. And I'm like thinking on it. I can see like I'm thinking on it, and I freaking it like happened. Like I
Yeah.
squeezed off. Like the moment got me, and I decided like, hey, it breaks loose. The arrow goes. He like immediate like it sounded like loud, like
Mhm.
you know what I mean. And I'm thinking, what was that? All the post shot
Mhm.
thoughts creep in, and you're like, what was that? Did I get him? Oh my god,
Yeah.
he looks okay. Is he hurt? Like all those things immediately. He runs, ducks under a log, kind of runs out of there, and stands at about 110 yards for.
I mean, he kind of went out of there like a wheelbarrow though. Like he wasn't running real great.
He stumbled twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I got him. Like fall. But almost every time I've shot a deer and it's like gonna die pretty quick, they start flickering their tail.
Mhm.
He didn't do that. He stood at 110 yards for about 10 minutes.
Mhm.
And I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And you're not glassing him at this point, trying to figure out
Oh,
what
I was
happened?
glassing him.
Yeah.
He had blood all over his legs.
Yeah.
Both he's kind of quartering away to the left, so his head's on the left, his rump's on the right, and he's kind of quartering away, and I'm glassing him at 110 yards, and he's standing there, and on his inside of his right leg, he was just soaked with blood, which
Yeah.
is the side that I shot, was his right side. So I'm thinking, that's good. You know, like he's bleeding. He's
Yeah.
not like gushing,
Yeah.
but his like whole underbelly is soaked in blood, and I'm thinking, that's good.
Yeah.
He's gonna go down. He's gonna just lay down and die. And all of a sudden, you know, I think I called you in there.
Mhm.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know what happened.
Well, yeah, you did, and then we're trying to review the footage, and it wasn't like you sending it to me was blurry enough that I couldn't quite tell. I was pretty sure you tucked it right behind his shoulder in his armpit, and you heart punched him. Is what I thought.
I did too. Like in the moment, I put it right where like I was calm. Like there was obstruction there, but I put it right where I wanted. Anyway, this deer ends up like I hadn't actually reviewed the footage myself.
Mm.
I sent it to you. And I was in the moment. I was glassing because he's standing right there. I didn't want to miss anything. And so he kind of like disappeared, like kind of like stumbles like into
A brush pile.
like a brush pile from one of these treetops that the loggers cut out. And I remember thinking like he's either gonna die right there or I didn't know.
Yeah.
But he didn't look dead to me.
You kept saying that. You're like he's hurt, but he doesn't look like he's gonna die. And I'm like, I mean, it's hard when you're not seeing it. So I'm like, what does that mean? He's hurt, but he doesn't look like he's gonna die.
like what I meant by that, if I had to explain it in words, like you know how when a buck keys up, like when I told you I called to him and he like turned and whipped his neck and he keyed up and his ears were up and you know the eyes,
Yeah.
they stare at you. He did that
He
once.
was very alert.
He looked really alert and his tail wasn't flickering, but then he like stumbled into the brush and I'm like, okay, well maybe I did get him. Like,
Yeah.
So anyway, I called you. I start reviewing the shot. I could definitely see one of the twigs like right after the shot, like was
Wow.
boing, 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 boing.
Yeah.
So I knew I had a deflection. And after I slowed it down, I'm watching the video a bunch of times. I thought that if you picture the right side of the deer, okay, his head's on the right, his rump's on the left. I shot pretty broadside shot through just a little bit. Maybe he was just slightly quartering away, but just I thought that he had ducked, and I thought that the arrow missed his right side entirely, and I hit the inside of his left front leg.
Because he was wheeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought from the video footage. I'm like, oh, maybe I just got his leg. Maybe I like hurt his leg.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he stumbled. And I remember calling you and I was calling Trav. I'm like, I don't know if I got this deer or not. And so I'm all of a sudden, I think I was on the phone with you, maybe. No, I don't think
you
it was.
called me back and you were like, this deer just got up and he started marching up the hill. What do I do? Should I go after him?
This is an hour and a half after like me shooting this deer. So an hour and a half goes by. I'm still standing there like intently with my binoculars watching this area about 110 yards. All of a sudden, he starts like stumbling up the ridge to try and like get out of there.
You said basically like he's limping pretty good, but he's going right up the hill. Like, should I go after him? And I'm like, I don't see that you really have another option.
He would take a couple steps and then lay down.
And you were like, I'm gonna jump down and hug the ridge, the rim of this ridge around and try to beat him to the top.
And it was risky because the trail So basically, where he was kind of like quartering out of this ridge. He wasn't going straight up the hill, but he was kind of like
Yeah.
quartering out.
Hillside there.
And so where I had to go a wrap around, it was like upwind. So like he was going to get my wind potentially. So I remember taking the longest possible, I hugged the property line all the way around.
Yep.
And I remember glassing to where he was kind of, headed. And I saw a pair of my climbing sticks
Mm-hmm.
that I had left in the tree. And I'm thinking, if I can get to that tree, I'm within 15 yards,
Yep.
20 yards, 25 yards. And it was downwind of him. I'm sorry, it was a safe wind for me to be at.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if I can just get to that stand, run all the way around, get to that tree, and I'm just sitting at the tree with an arrow knocked, cameras rolling on the Mag Pro, and I'm just looking for this deer, and all of a sudden I hear like a huge commotion, and the deer's like 8 yards.
Yeah. You got within 8 yards of him.
8 yards. 8 yards. So this
Yeah.
deer, where I last left him, made a huge push. That's the noise that I heard when I was at the base of this tree.
Mm-hmm.
8 yards. I can see this tips of his antlers behind a big top that one of the loggers cut from a big white oak. So I got a big white oak top right in between me and him, and he's right there, and I can't shoot until it looks like he's going to go right up this trail, and there's like a clearing at the end of this, this top. I'm going to shoot him right there.
Yep.
I think I sat there for 16 minutes.
Just watching him.
I sat there for 16 minutes on the Mag Pro rolling. I went back and looked at the timing. 16 minutes I sat there 8 yards from him.
He was just standing there?
He was laying there because
he
was
laid down.
completely tired, couldn't get up the hill. And I still didn't really know where the shot was,
Mm-hmm.
but I could see his tips of his antlers, 8 yards. All of a sudden, a big wind gust comes up, and he just like starts running the other way. Like it looked like he kind of got spooked from what I could tell because I'm 8 yards from him.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm downwind, like I felt safe. So I start running after him. I run up to the top of the ridge trail that I had blown with a leaf blower, so it's like pretty quiet and it's wet.
So he starts running away, but he's not going real fast. Like you can tell he's hurt somehow.
Yeah, like
and you had sort of speculated that you might have hit his leg only.
Yeah. I predicted that this deer was going to run perpendicular to where I was, but he went directly away from me.
Yep.
In this moment, in this wind gust. I'm thinking, so I don't even know, I just started running after him. I'm on the top of the ridge now, and he's kind of like almost to the top, running the hillside up. And I thought that he had saw me, so I was going after him hard now.
Yeah.
Like didn't really care if he saw me. I was going to let an arrow fly. I get to a point where he's right behind a big oak. I'm at full draw. And I didn't really know the distance. It felt like 35 yards or so. And I'm waiting for him to like just move a little bit to the left. But he makes another big push
and runs
away from me. And I could tell at that point when I saw his body language, he hadn't seen me yet. He didn't know I was there.
Yeah.
And so I run a little bit further, and I'm like on my knee, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a good shot here. And he gets to a point, he stops, and he whips his head back, and he sees me. And I quickly range a tree 35 yards. I'm going to let it fly 36, 37, 38 yards. He's looking right at me now.
Yeah.
I get up because we're both at the top of the ridge. There's not much behind me covering me. He sees me. I get up. I draw. As I get about half draw, he just takes off. I let down. I start sprinting after this animal.
Mag Pro rolling, bow in hand.
Bow in hand. I'm running like full tilt. Nate Hicks sprinting on the top of a ridge.
Yeah.
Can you picture that?
Oh, yeah.
And this deer's not moving great, and I could kind of tell at this point like I'd hurt his leg pretty good.
You're making ground on him.
Well, the way that the ridges kind of go up and down, like I saw him disappear, and I'm hauling tater just trying to find where he was.
Yeah.
And I remember I could smell him, like riding buck.
Yeah.
The wind, he was upwind. I'm running after him, and like I remember getting down to the bottom of this ravine, up, kind of to where he last was, where I almost shot him, and I could smell him so clean. I'm like, oh man, like I felt like a dog,
right
like a bloodhound.
Yeah. I'm on him.
Yeah, so I'm running, and I'm kind of like seeing a little bit of drops of blood, but not really. I'm not following that. I'm just kind of like seeing a little bit of distress in the leaves on the trail, and I'm running. And all of a sudden, I get to the top of another ridge, and I kind of pause to try and see movement. And all of a sudden, this thing starts running again down the trail, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's right there. I thought he went on to a different piece of land. He runs down my trail. He runs right down my trail.
Yeah.
Like not in the woods, but like on the cleared trail. I'm running full sprint.
Yeah.
I get to within.
You're chasing him, making ground on him, and then there's a point where he basically just stops.
Yeah, but so in my mind, so now it's like I have full visibility. There's like a
Yep.
long.
You guys are on a cleared logging trail, just running.
Yep. So he's like at the bottom of this. He kind of did a circle, so he's almost to the stand where I'd shot him.
Mm-hmm.
He's running down a hill. It's wide open, so I can see him. So I'm
Sprinting.
full out, like full extension, like like this video,
You're on the balls of your feet, knees are up, and you're moving like
like as fast as I can move in first light gear and bibs
with a bow in a hand.
with boots and everything. I'm going. And I remember in this moment, like the deer stops and I'm at 60 yards. I'm like gaining 50, 40, 30. And in my mind, the whole way getting closer to this animal, he's going to start running. I'm going to have to pause, draw,
Yeah.
and like let it fly.
Yep.
There was another split moment where I'm like, I am going to have to actually tackle this deer. No, I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
His body language looked like he was
like, no, like I didn't know if I was going to be able to get a clean shot. I was actually contemplating in my mind. I'm like, 20% of me was going to do it, but like I need to take an arrow out of my quiver and like somehow stab this deer. I know that sounds barbaric, but think about it. There's an injured animal. When have you ever had an animal like they always run away through some thick shit that you can't get to, thick stuff.
Yeah.
They always run away through some thick stuff
that you can't get to.
And I'm thinking, how am I going to shoot this thing like broadside with a bow and arrow cleanly and actually get it? Like that possibility was like 100% in my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, how am I need to like slow this thing down. Maybe I like grab his antlers and like stab him. Like I honestly was thinking like this.
Yeah.
40, 30, 20, 10, 5, 3. I'm like, I remember like
yeah, in the video you just stop because he's just staring at you.
He pins his ears, turns to me. Nothing in between he and I. There's just we're on the trail. We're on the logging trail.
3 yards apart.
No, actually.
3 yards. Like it looks like you're about to give him a hug.
He turns, quarters, and then in this moment, lots of questions were answered.
Yeah.
Things that I didn't think about in the moment, but things that like I'm like, okay. Like I don't even remember looking at his knee, but like I'm thinking, okay, I could see that I busted his right front leg.
Yeah,
busted
blew it clean off, basically.
So like again, unconscious thoughts, like everything's happening like in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being blown away that I'm looking at a live buck 3 yards away. He's ears pinned. I'm thinking, like, you know how like I'm a right-handed shooter, so I got my bow in my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not drawn yet. I'm running the Mag Pro footage, so I'm like trying to get footage at the same time.
You're filming him, yeah.
And I remember thinking like I'm gonna have to turn my bow sideways so that my cams basically are left and right.
Mm-hmm.
If he charges me, I'm gonna have to put my bow in front of me.
So you were thinking he was going to charge you at this point. The way that he turned and pinned his ears, you were like, "Oh, it's like that. Like
no,
we're about to fight."
100%. I thought we were going down and dirty. I'm so serious. Yeah. I'm in my mind. I'm thinking, oh my god, if he makes one more step and comes after me, I have to turn my bow sideways. Hopefully, his antlers get like lodged in the riser.
Yeah,
and I can like push this animal down to the ground, grab an arrow, and stab him or something. I know that sounds barbaric, but like at this point it was like
you were like worried
20,
you were gonna
30,
get charged.
Yeah, 30, yeah. 20. Like as the distance closed and he wasn't running, I'm like, dude, he's deciding right now what he's gonna do.
Yep.
And a quick hop. Go ahead.
To me, in the footage, his body language, because I wasn't there in the moment, but his body language looked like he realized you were making ground on him quicker than he was getting away. And I don't know, like, if he was planning to charge you, but his body language was such that he turned around kind of like, okay.
Now what?
You got me. Now what? Exactly. Like it didn't look to me like he was going to fight you, but it was like he turned around kind of like, you got me. Let's get this over with. Like, that's kind of like, it almost seemed like he was admitting defeat.
I would agree.
Like he was trying, he gave it his best effort to get away from you. and there was a point where you were gaining way quicker than he was getting away, and he was just like, okay, this is where it ends.
To me, though, the like I said, when I'm running down this hill, like you can only go off of your instincts, and there was like two things that were really going through my mind. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have to take a running shot, or I'm gonna keep chasing him, or I'm gonna have to like grab him before he runs off the property
Mm-hmm.
and somehow figure out how to like make this end right here.
Yeah.
And in that moment, none of the options were he's gonna stop and look at me at 3 yards. None of like, you know what I mean?
That one wasn't one you prepared for because like,
wasn't.
why would he stop in the middle of the trail at 3 yards and let you take a broadside
I've
shot?
never seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of deer run away. It seems like through the gnarliest stuff, no matter how hurt they are, they just won't stop. They're relentless, and they find a way to get away almost every time. So in this split moment, as I'm running, I'm like, there's like the chances of me harvesting this animal are like
Basically zero.
Zero
You're
in
just
my
running
mind.
because what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna just accept that he's running away? No, you're like, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna chase him until he either gets away or something happens.
So here I am, 3 yards. I'm like preparing for him to charge me, and I remember like there was this moment of like I'm looking at a wild animal that does not look happy
At
3 yards. So within like it was like a weird pause. You'll see it in the video. We actually need to talk about how we're going to release this video.
We're gonna release a portion of it somehow, but definitely not.
There's like this
full.
split second where I'm like I could feel like how I felt in person. I feel like is kind of portrayed in the video.
Yeah.
Where it was like a count to 2 of like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like
Yeah.
this is wild.
Yeah, I feel like there was a pause where you were like, he's gonna charge me, and then he like a couple seconds goes by and he doesn't, and you were like, I'm gonna try to draw, I guess.
Yeah.
And he just
He let
lets
me
you
draw.
draw,
I
and-
drew.
and you were like, even then you paused, and you were like, oh my god, and then you squeeze it off.
Yeah. So I ended up shooting this thing at point blank range. He was quartering away hard. I put it right where I wanted to. And yeah, this was a wild. He bled out.
Yeah.
Almost immediately, blood dripping. It was one of those moments where, you know, I'm trying to put into words what I was experiencing, but
You could tell it was real heavy on you in the video.
well, I had a huge adrenaline dump right there.
Yeah, but I mean just the weight of the moment.
It did,
Like,
but that's
you-
what I'm saying. Like right then, after it was done, I'm like I start to my emotions come out in the
Yeah.
video, and
Yeah.
I had a huge dump of emotion, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, I start talking to this deer.
Yeah.
He ends up laying down, looks at me. You know, he's bleeding out fully. I mean, he's quartering away,
He's
so I kind of
passing
put
away
it
right
behind.
then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I watch him go down. He's bleeding out. He lays down, kind of like a deer would bed, and is just looking at me. And we're literally feet from each other, like 5 to 6 feet. And I'm just watching this deer die, and I'm talking to him like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. Like
Thank
your
you.
body's not gonna go to waste. Like thank you. We're gonna, you know, my family's gonna eat you. Like it probably sounded funny to somebody who doesn't
Hunt. Yeah.
hunt, but I was like telling them that we're
Well,
gonna
you're
use
like-
your body.
You're in a very weird situation. You probably didn't know anything other than just like that was just
I completely forgot I was filming.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
just in this crazy moment with
Yeah.
this animal that I kind of felt bad. I kind of felt like I've never experienced this before.
I've never seen anything like that ever.
I was staring at this animal. Like he is staring into my eyes. It was horrible, actually. It was actually horrible. And then after a little bit, like he didn't die. Like as quickly as I had envisioned him dying.
Yeah.
And I had another arrow put in him. And that third arrow, call
Killed
it,
him immediately, basically.
within a couple seconds, he was done. But like, I mean, usually you don't have to watch that.
Yeah, that's brutal.
It's something you don't think about. But usually, when you shoot an animal with a bow, they
run
go
away
away
and
and die.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think
that was something.
the thing that you should be applauded on is the fact that you were not you knew something had gone wrong in the first shot, and you weren't willing to accept, I'm just gonna walk out of the woods today and chalk this one up as a loss.
Mm.
Like, you mentally made the decision that was like, I'm gonna bottom this thing out. I'm gonna make sure that there's nothing left on the table. Like you said, you couldn't see a scenario where you were gonna end up getting a clean shot off and getting him killed after that,
Mm-hmm.
but you were exploring the opportunity because you just couldn't live with essentially you couldn't live with it if you didn't. You're like, I got to get down and make sure I give this situation everything I have to offer to try to get this deer killed because the first one didn't go like it should have. And so, like, that relentless pursuit and just choosing to go after him and figure out how to make it happen. Like, that deer, after looking at him with you, that first arrow basically blew his whole front leg off. And it did miss all of the vitals.
It did. He would have
lived until a predator tracked him down and killed him,
or infection. But yeah, he would have lived.
He would have lived. But my point is, the death that you offered him by chasing him down and putting an arrow in the pump station is way better than him being run down by a pack of coyotes and them chewing on his hindquarters and him limping away and trying to get away for days on end before he finally dies of infection or starvation, whatever. That's you offered him a way more merciful death by choosing to run him down and end it. And that's I've never seen anything like it, but it changes your perspective a little, especially on the parcels we're hunting, and because you're also thinking, if he gets off my property,
yeah,
it's over.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
So it was like, I gotta bottom this thing out and try to give it everything I can while he's still on my property. And
I want to explain what you just said, though, because I think a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of people would be like, "Well, the deer's injured. You if he crosses the property line, you have the." So it's actually, I don't know about other states, but I'm pretty sure, but in Michigan, you have to have permission from the property owner to track an animal. If you don't, like, let's just say it's not hunting season and you just happen to go over on your neighbor's property. That's just like a trespassing charge.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in pursuit of a wild animal and you don't have permission from the property owner, that's a double charge.
Mm-hmm.
You're in violation of just not a trespassing charge, but you're also a fish and game charge of illegally trailing an animal. Like, it's not good. So, like, that's one of the things I was thinking about. Like, I'm new to this area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know my property neighbors as well. Like, I don't know their wishes as well as I would have, in past circumstances where I know the neighbors and, like, Ronnie'd be fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be fine with that. So you're 100% right. Like, that was going through my mind. If he got off, I'm like, I can't just pursue this animal. And then what then?
Yeah.
So
I know in other states there's certain laws that say if there's a clear blood trail on this side and then a clear blood trail on that side and it crosses the property line, you don't even need landowner permission. You're legally allowed to pursue it. That's not how it is in Michigan.
Right.
In Michigan, if you ask for permission and you clearly have a blood trail on this side and on that side, and you ask for permission and they say, no, I don't want you going to get it, there's legally nothing you can do.
Yeah.
There's legally nothing that the authorities can do to come and say, well, you have to let him go get that deer.
That's
if
correct.
the landowner says you can't go get it, you cannot go get it.
It's that
simple.
That is absolutely correct. And it's if we're going to go this far, like, let's say that deer ends up dying on that landowner's property.
Mm-hmm.
He legally cannot touch that animal. He has to use his tag, or he can legally not touch it.
Yeah.
Or else it is poaching.
Yeah.
So all these things are running through my mind. This deer ends up dying. It was wild. I had a huge dump of emotion. Like, I didn't even know what to think.
Yep.
And I remember, like, I called you and I'm like, because you guys were wanting to come out and film the recovery, the whole thing. And I remember thinking, like, I called you and I was like, yeah, like, I got a buck down. You're like, what happened? And I'm like, I just need a moment to really tell you what just happened.
Well, so when you shot him the first time and he piled up in the trees, in that treetop, and the hour and a half goes by, at that point we were still pretty sure you hit him behind the shoulder, and I'm like, I bet you he's dead in that treetop right now. So we were like getting all our stuff around and we're like, we're coming. And then when you called and said, okay, he just got up after an hour and a half and he's marching to the hilltop, I'm going to go try to put a stalk on this deer. Like, you guys hold tight and I'll let you know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then you call me back and you're like, breathing real heavy. And you're like, I can't even explain to you what just happened. And I said, Nate, okay, I just have one question. Is the deer dead? Like, is he down? And you said, yeah, he's down. I said, okay, we're coming. And then I hung up and you were like, I just need a minute. Like, I'll tell you everything when I get here.
Yeah.
But I was like, I could just tell you had just experienced something. And so I was like, okay, the simple question is he dead? And you were like,
is he down?
Yes, he's down.
Yeah, it was wild. So the footage is absolutely bizarre. It's X-rated.
It almost feels like it feels like something you shouldn't watch. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, like one of those things that you can't not watch. Like once you can't look away.
You can't look away, but then once you've watched it, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. So you guys come out, we do the recovery. I remember like sending the video to a bunch of people that I trust and know, and I asked some of those people, like, hey, would you send this out to some of your friends that are within the industry, that, like, what do you think about this? Should this be posted online? And the vast majority, 100% was like, don't put this on.
They're like, this is a crazy video, but you should definitely not post this.
Yeah, like, absolutely wild encounter. Great on you for getting him. Do not post this.
Yeah. So we're not going to.
We're going to show kind of like just enough to
We'll show some of the pursuit. We'll probably share some of the audio, but the vast majority of the climax of the hunt is going to be blurred.
Yeah.
Has to be. Not because like, oh, we want to like tease it and hide it from everybody. Like, it's just out of respect for the animal
and the
hunting community, and not not getting it misconstrued by people who are going to view it that are not hunters. Like, that's just how it has to be. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Chasedown.
So that was day one.
That was day
one of the Moment series, and you got in a foot race with a buck and got on the board.
Yeah. There's a lot more stories that we have to share, but they're not going to be on this episode. They're going to be in following.
Yeah, so that was the foot race buck.
Yeah, I think this one's gonna. So I believe when this episode is live, which it is if you're listening to this, there's a YouTube video. That shows this whole thing at Painted Arrow. At Painted Arrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I killed the buck at like 2.5, 3 yards.
I've never seen anything like that.
Go check that out.
Yeah.
You'll see enough in the video to understand exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Let's just put it like that. Like, we show everything but what you think.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. That's how the Moment series started, and we'll let you know how it ended.
We'll catch you up on the next one. Thanks for listening.